Welcome. I'm the BINBUSTER, and this is my top 25 of the 90s. A buddy of mine, Tim Talks Talkies, did this challenge of going through and picking your top 25 movies of the 90s, the ones that mean the most to you. And these are ones that mean the most to me out of all these because in some way, shape, or form, they kind of made me who I am today. So this is a little look behind the name of the BINBUSTER. For those of you that don't know, my real name is Graydon. Right there. And so these are stuff that actually Graydon likes. So without further ado, we'll start off with number 25. This one came about because I had a teacher and because of my love for history. 4th grade, 5th grade, I did 2 projects that made me fall in love with learning about other countries, learning about where I live and stuff like that. And then in high school, I started high school in 99. And in high school I had a teacher who flourished that love of history. So this movie from the 90s is one of my favorites. It's a weird one. It's right there. It's Schindler's List. The reason I say this is a weird one is because it's a movie about a man named Oskar Schindler who saves Jews from concentration camps. And I mean, what's weird about that? It's a touching story about one man's heroic journey in saving an entire people, trying to save an entire people group during World War II. So that's there. And speaking of history, another movie that I love at 24 is The Three Musketeers. Yeah, this Disney version is one of my favorites with Charlie Sheen, Oliver Platt, Kiefer Sutherland, and Chris O'Donnell, and Tim Curry. Yeah, so this was a fun one too. And at 23 is one, like I said, I had teachers throughout my school life, early school life, that impacted me for different reasons. That impacted me because of a love of history or a love of math, stuff like that. So I thought, how appropriate for all those teachers out there that inspired me, than to go with Mr. Holland's Opus, a story of a music teacher whose son is deaf, and he teaches him that way. It also helped me with something that I was later on going to do in life, where I've worked with a lot of people who are hearing impaired, who are blind, who have been physically impaired, special needs kids as well. And so this movie, with the relationship between him and his son, really helped out with that too. So 22 is a sports film. I just love it because it's one of my favorites, including the greatest basketball player of all time. Yes, I said it, the greatest basketball player of all time, Space Jam. Why not? It's a fun movie. You never, like in the 90s, you barely saw anything of these live action animated movies because it was Michael Jordan with the Looney Tunes. How awesome is that? And I'm a huge Marvin the Martian fan, so there we go. My next one is a movie about a bunch of kids who nobody wants, who just have one goal. They want to play a sport, and their coach helps them achieve that, because they go from outcasts to the Mighty Ducks. I enjoyed this movie growing up, still do to this day. And like I said, the Ducks here are a bunch of kids who nobody wants, who are, even in school, they're the ones who get picked on, who get in trouble a lot. So yeah, no one wants them. They form a team and they become the Mighty Ducks, and spawn off 2 other sequels and a TV show now. So there we go. The next was one I played a lot in an arcade. I mean, say what you will about the movie. For me, it's made my list. What can I say? It's Raul Julia's last film. Yes. Street Fighter. Yes. I remember for years playing this in an arcade at a little skate rink that we had in town where I grew up. Would walk down there, play some video games, like Street Fighter. I was E Honda and Del Zim. Those 2 guys are cheap. Just to let you know, you play the old school stuff, those two guys are cheap. Those can stretch at E Honda's hand, moves so fast it looks like it's flying off of him. So yeah, there's that one. The next one I have is one that, say what you will about movies that made you fall in love with an actor. This is one that made me love Arnold Schwarzenegger films. Yes, so one that made me love Arnold Schwarzenegger films, and that is Kindergarten Cop. Get on the chopper. No, sorry. That's a different one. It's, who's your daddy and what does he do? Yeah, there. It's just, seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger, knowing who Arnold Schwarzenegger was, seeing him being a kindergarten teacher was absolutely hilarious. So that's there. 3, 2, 1. My next one is one of my favorite all-time Halloween movies. You can't argue with this one, but there's others I like. There's more that I like beyond this, and that's Ernest Scared Stupid. I remember watching this for the first time in the 90s, and I laughed my butt off, and it was hilarious. Watched the entire Ernest set in a couple days with some friends when I was growing up, so there we go. The next one was one that I didn't get into the comic book of this until much later. But it was when I saw there that I'm like, oh, this is like a cartoon come to life. Didn't realize it was a comic book until afterwards. That's Jim Carrey's The Mask. Yes, that's right, The Mask. I love this movie. It's, like I said, it's like a cartoon come to life. Jim Carrey's a cartoon character that pretty much comes to life in this one. My next one is one that came out in 99. Like I said, I was in high school from August to like December, started my high school career in 99. This one came out then, and it's kind of was not my forte into this type of humor. It wasn't my go-to style of humor, but I absolutely love this movie now. Can't get enough of it, and that is Office Space. Just seeing, I now understand a lot more of this movie being an adult and working. You don't realize that when you are like 14 years old, 15 years old, don't really have much of a job. You don't really understand this movie, but you appreciate it now more than ever. And another one I got, in my next one, is a Nick Cage film. I enjoyed this one. July 14th, my daddy's coming home July 14th. Yeah, that's right, it's Conair. I actually saw this one day when I was at Blockbuster growing up. I remember picking it up. I saw the front cover. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. An airplane that explodes? Oh, I need to check this out. And so I did. My next one is one that I remember watching a lot growing up. I think I wore out the tape. But the thing that drew me was the bright orange packaging of this. And created a memorable moment of Rocky loves Emily. Rocky loves Emily. That's it. Three Ninjas. About a story about three boys who learn karate or the art of ninja from their grandfather, who end up having to rescue their grandfather from this evil guy. Yeah, it's hilarious. It's a fun time. The next one not only sparked a world of sci-fi for me, getting me into that world, but also brought me into more of the Sylvester Stallone movies at that same time. So that's Demolition Man. It also is the movie that I first saw that had Sandra Bullock in it. And you know how much I like her as an actress, so yeah. So that was that first one. So that's a special one there. The next one is one that freshman year I started playing football. And this is one, hey, everyone who starts playing football in high school has one dream, and that's to make a pro. Not me. I just wanted to play football. I was a big kid growing up, and I just wanted to play football. And yeah, and I remember watching any given Sunday when football was there, and this movie actually died. I didn't realize at the time until I researched it a little bit after the first time I watched it, that it's actually almost completely true based off of what happens on a Sunday morning. It goes behind the scenes of what you see on TV. I didn't realize what happened there until I was playing the sport. The next one here, you might be like, whoa, why isn't this one higher? Because growing up, I didn't like to read, but there was one book that ended up being the book for me that got me into a world of reading and all that type of stuff. And that was Jurassic Park. And I know this one right here is this is the actual book. But yeah, so Jurassic Park brought me into the world of Michael Crichton, who's my favorite author, but also kind of sparked my interest in reading more of his work. So my next one is a movie about the boys of summer. I remember playing out in the street, playing basketball, baseball at times, playing out with my friends in the street, and this movie really spoke to me with the aspect of, hey, that's exactly what I've done. And that's The Sandlot. No, I didn't go against a big giant dog for a ball signed by Hank Aaron to try and rescue that. No, but the camaraderie, the band of friends you have growing up that stay with you, that's what this one is, and that's why I like it. The next one came about me liking when I was visiting my grandparents. And I would remember reading the comic strips over there. And my grandfather would be reading the paper here and hand me the funnies, and I would be reading. And this came up there, and it drew me in with all the bright colors and everything. And that's Dick Tracy. This movie's also fantastic with the blacks, with the simple backgrounds and the bright colors. Awesome movie. The next one actually sparked love for comedy for me. One of the many ones that sparked a love of comedy for me. And that is Damon Wayans in Major Payne. My name's Benson Winifred Payne. Hey, you want me to take your mind off of that? Give me a finger. And he breaks the guy's finger, and it's never the same again. Yeah, Major Payne. Growing up, my parents had on older TV shows growing up. We watched a lot of them. And two of the ones I grew up to absolutely love were Mission Impossible. Right there, Mission Impossible. And The Addams Family. So right there, Addams Family, Mission Impossible, and Addams Family. Two of the TV shows I grew up, or was on my TV when I was growing up watching. And right now, my top 5. Yeah, I can't believe I'm already to my top 5. Like I said, Schwarzenegger, Kindergarten Cop was my first taste into Arnie, into the Arnie movies, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. This next one was one, because I watched a lot of movies. I still do. And I really wish I had a golden ticket that brought me into the movies. That's right, Last Action Hero. Detective Kimball, forget the boy's name, but bring a magic golden ticket, brings him into the world of the movies. Any movie fan growing up, or any kid growing up who wanted to escape into a world of movies to watch it because they wanted something different in life, this is that movie for you, and it's a good one. Number 4 is one that I enjoyed in high school. My freshman year, I had a teacher who taught us about one of the plays we read that way was Romeo and Juliet. And once we were done, he showed us this movie. And I gotta say, I actually enjoyed it. I was shocked that I would, but that is the Leonardo DiCaprio version of William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Just because of how modern this was at the time, modern take on Romeo and Juliet, still spoken in the original Shakespearean language. Yeah, that's why I like it. And then, like I said, in '99, I started playing. I was in high school. Started going into high school. Started playing football. And I could say my high school wasn't anything like Varsity Blues, but I understood what these guys were going through in playing football. And I had friends whose life was this movie. Their life was nothing but football. Older brothers played it. Dads played it. They stopped at nothing for this. That's why this spoke to me, because it was one of those movies that I had friends who lived right through that type of stuff. My last two are ones that I checked out a lot at Blockbuster. This one was because I would watch James Bond movies on different channels growing up too, and I would see a lot of Sean Connery ones because he's the best Bond. So I ended up renting a lot of The Rock. Yeah, so story about Alcatraz and how he's an escapee from Alcatraz and Nick Cage has to come in and stop Ed Harris with his help. It's an amazing movie. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. And it's a great action movie. And you gotta feel bad for those people in Alcatraz because they're trapped in there when this whole thing is going on. And the last one sparked two things, and were two different things that I just recently talked about in here. One was a love for history, and the other one is growing up, I read a lot of comic books. I mean, I didn't like reading, but I read for Book It, which was a program that you got free pizza with for contests at school. I didn't really like reading much. But in reading comic books drew me into a world of imagination and a world of science fiction and fantasy and detective noir like Dick Tracy. But this one did that, and as well as a love of history in there too. And my number one is The Rocketeer. Yeah, a story takes place in World War II, where Cliff Secord is the Rocketeer. He has his jetpack and he flies around and he stops Nazis. Take that, Indy. He's a lot better. He can actually fly. You can't. Yeah. Well, you're just saving artifacts. He actually helps save a it's an adventure full of mystery, suspense, and intrigue. With the help of his girlfriend, the young pilot battles in enormous odds and defeats his foes, who are anxious to use the device with an evil plan to rule the world. Yes, so he thwarts an evil organization's plans to destroy the world. So, that was my top 25 of the 90s. A personal list, I should say. A look behind the name of BINBUSTER, who Graydon really is. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and as always, hit that like button, hit that thumbs up button, hit the like button, hit that bell notification for more, and most importantly, hit that subscribe button for more videos like this. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys here next time. Bye.